All right. Well, hey, everyone. Really excited to have Gareth, the Dow chemist, as you might know him on Twitter and throughout social media from MCDEX joining us today. Really excited to have him be able to join and explain a little bit more about MCDEX, what they're working on, and everything that went into the integration with Chainlink. Through this, we're going to explore a little bit what is unique to both teams and both the users of each product, learn a bit more about liquidity mining and perpetual futures and all the work and new features that MCDEX is coming out with. Gary, yeah, really excited to have you join. Maybe do you want to just introduce yourself and a little bit about your background and what MCDEX is?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Keenan. It's a real pleasure to be here to talk to the Link Marines and the Chainlink community. And I think we have some MCDEX token holders as well in the community. So happy to have you guys here. Yes, so I'm Dow Chemist. I'm the head of business development for MCDEX. My background is actually technical. So I was an engineer for 12 plus years. I got into crypto around 2017, around the ICO boom. I was a hodler, and then soon after that, I found a project that I found really exciting. Was DAO Stack. It was the first time I saw a project that was aligning the incentive of the individual, the incentives of the community. So I loved the project. I jumped on board as a dev evangelist. Had fun. It was a pleasure working there. I got to work for Zilliqa as well in the same capacity. I got to see how to build a blockchain from scratch, to think about the smart contract, to think about security. But yeah, this year I had to go back into Ethereum. I love the DeFi space, and I had the opportunity to join MCDEX, and it's been a amazing and fun ride so far. And yes, so MCDEX is a decentralized exchange for trading derivatives, specifically for trading perpetual contracts. So most people might know of BitMEX, and perpetual contracts have been made famous by a centralized platform like BitMEX and Bybit. And what they are is they are leveraged positions without an expiration date. So if you go on mcdex.io today, you can actually open a leverage position with up to 10x leverage. So you can think of this concept as MCDEX bringing derivatives to DeFi, but also bringing a concept of capital efficiency, right? And so when you think about the spot market versus derivative market, in traditional finance, derivative is so much bigger than spot trading, but as well in crypto, I think if I remember right, it's about 3 to 4 times bigger than spot trading. And the reason for that is because derivatives are bringing a lot of efficiency to trading. So you can think about like a basic case scenario where, let's say you have a trader that wants to, that believes that Ethereum is going to be bullish, right? And thinks that there's going to be some price appreciation. Then you can go to the spot market, and let's say you have $100, and in that scenario, ETH is worth $100. So you get one ETH, and the price goes up by 10%, so you make $10. Mm-hmm. But now in that same situation, let's take another scenario where that same trader goes to a derivative exchange. Let's say he goes on MCDEX, and he's able to get up to 10x leverage. Then with that same $100, he's able to actually get a position worth of up to $1,000, which represent 10 ETH. And so that same ETH goes up by 10%. Then you can start to see the difference. Where in case scenario number one, you started with $100, you make 10. In the second, you started with $100, you made another $100. So that's the idea of capital efficiency. Is derivatives are different. You have option trading, you have binary options, you have futures, you have interest swap, and all those are actually coming to DeFi. But the concept behind it is really the idea of how can you take your existing capital and make it more efficient? And that's really beneficial for the market as a whole, because as traders are able to give more feedback to the market and to give more information back to the market, then our market overall, like not just DeFi, but also crypto, can become more efficient, right? And that's the belief behind that.
Cool. Yeah. So what would you say is kind of the difference between your platform and maybe some of the other futures platforms that might be out there, and why would someone choose your platform over another one?
Yes, so there's definitely a growing interest of bringing derivative to DeFi. A lot of platforms and teams are throwing their hats in the ring. I think the one that a lot of people will have heard about is DYDX. So they're the first platform to bring a decentralized Bitcoin perpetual contract. I know that's a mouthful, but it's basically just a traditional perpetual contract that you would have on centralized exchange that's been transformed into a smart contract, and that smart contract is on the Ethereum blockchain. And so they've taken an approach of using an order book, right? And so you have the buy orders, the sell orders, and for traders who are familiar with centralized exchange, it's a very similar experience with the added benefit of the transparency of having those perpetual contracts on the blockchain, right?
Hmm.
So at MCDEX, what we did differently is we've taken a less conservative approach towards more innovation. So we have a hybrid model where we have both a order book. So again, for traders who are comfortable with that trading model, but we also have an AMM, so a automated market maker. And so the belief there is that there's so many money Legos that are being built in DeFi, and we're starting to see like the stacking where platforms are starting to add those protocols together to build new experiences. I think the AMM, and I think that's the belief of MCDEX, is that we're enabling innovations to happen. So we have products that we're working on to build on top of the AMM, but as well because the AMM is on the blockchain, it's kind of like this on-chain liquidity that other smart contract developers, researchers, and teams can build on top of. So it's kind of like this whole idea of innovation at the edges, where if you make those building blocks available, then we might even know what the innovation might be, but there might be some really cool things happening out of it.
Yeah. Thanks for that answer. I imagine, I mean, anytime when you're dealing with futures and leverage, security is a huge concern, one for the user as well as other people that are building on the platform. What have you guys done with security on your end of things, one within like audits, as well as how do oracles and decentralized oracles kind of fit into MCDEX?
Yeah, so security is a big topic and something that we focus on at MCDEX. So yes, our smart contracts have been audited by Open Zeppelin and another company as well. I can't remember right now. Well, yeah, from that aspect, we definitely believe that security is key because, again, as we build those layers on top of each other, every layer that you add a surface of attack potentially, right? And so one of the things that we think about is very crucial is the oracle, right? How do we get actual price feed to connect with our smart contract? And that's very important for us to make sure that the price feed is reliable and been tested as well by other projects. And so I think it's almost became like a industry standard to use Chainlink solution for that, right? Like it's a bit of a joke, but I think in the 80s and 90s, people would say we never got fired for using IBM, and Chainlink is kind of becoming the IBM oracles. And our team did a very thorough review of the Oracle solutions that were available and what would fit our use cases. And yeah, it just made sense for us after review to go with Chainlink. And the architecture is very solid. There's so much adoption as well that it's just a great ecosystem, and been happy so far to use this solution.
Yeah, well, we're really excited to be working with you, your team, and yourself as well. And it's been a pleasure. How has it been with the Chainlink team and kind of that integration process? What kind of goes into the integration itself?
Sure. So I can bring a little bit of background. So at the top level, right, that might help explain the integration. So MCDEX is a platform, right? So for a trader, you can come on our DEX, connect to your wallet, you can use a MetaMask or other wallet and trade against the order book or trade against the AMM. And that's at like the exchange level, right? But underneath it, you have this layer of smart contract, right? And those smart contracts together are a protocol that we call the MAI protocol, which is MAI, which I think in Chinese stands for buy and sell both.
Okay.
So it's the buy and sell. and the smart contracts or protocol that is the engine for the platform, and those are deployed on the blockchain. So our AMM or perpetual contracts are on the Ethereum blockchain. So as most people know, like it makes it really hard to consume real world data onto a smart contract. And the thing that's also that makes it a little more sophisticated is that we have those contracts that are based on a collateral, right? So for example, right now we currently have the first decentralized Ethereum perpetual contract, right? So that perpetual contract needs to have a price that we call a mark price that's based on the price of its collateral, right? And it's very important that the difference between the mark price and the price of a collateral, we'll call it the index price, is accurate, right? And so the
Mhm.
index price as well has to be very accurate. So in order for us to provide the service of perpetual contracts where people can take leverage for an indeterminate amount of time, we have a funding mechanism, right? Nothing is free. So the way it works is we have longs and shorts. And so if a funding rate is positive, what that means is that there's a lot more longs than shorts. So the market is bullish. And then the longs have to pay the shorts, a kind of funding fee, right?
Mhm.
Now, if the funding rate is negative, the shorts are more popular or great number than the longs, and then they have to pay the longs, right? So that funding rate is actually the difference between the mark price and the index price. So it's extremely crucial for us to have a very accurate index price, and that's why for us, like a big part of the security is actually to make sure that the price feed is accurate, and so the solution that Chainlink give us is perfect for that.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that answer. So getting a little more into kind of the governance structure of MCDEX itself and kind of what separates it from a lot of the other projects, can you maybe tell us a little bit more about how the governance structure works and how liquidity mining kind of operates within MCDEX itself?
Yes. So the liquidity mining started a couple of weeks ago. And so we introduced the MCD token as an incentive for users to become liquidity providers for MCDEX. So as I mentioned, we have a hybrid model. We have the order book that's off chain, and then we have the AMM that's on chain. So a big part of making the AMM usable is to bring a lot of liquidity to it, right? So high liquidity AMM can be integrated as a building block. And so the incentive there is to say, to our users, if you help us, if you become a liquidity provider and you stake into the AMM, then in return, you get some MCB token. And that's the first step into the governance. And the whole idea there, and I think yield farming has exploded since the release of the compound token, is it's really the overall idea is to get users to be more engaged and interact with the protocol, and to get them to almost take ownership of the protocol by having a say, by interacting with it on a regular level. And so that's really the first step into getting our users to be engaged with governance, because the end goal for us is really not to just be an exchange, but it's to be an infrastructure for derivatives, right? And so
Mhm.
eventually it could take the form of a DAO, it could take the form of another form of decentralized governance, but it would be to get the users to make decisions that matter for the exchange, right? Whether it's about listing a given asset or contract, whether it's about increasing or decreasing a fee for traders, but it's getting them to have skin in the game and to also feel comfortable just engaging the protocol. We have a very, very engaging community right now. Actually, next week we have our first governance call, which have already, I think, 2 or 3 different improvements proposal from community members that are ranging from the vesting schedule to potentially incentivizing liquidity on Uniswap or Balancer. So the decentralization is already happening, and yes, it's an interesting experimentation, and so far we're hearing a lot of good feedback from the community.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I jumped into your Telegram earlier today and it's very active. a lot of people are looking at everything that you guys are doing. So it's really cool to see the growth, especially over you guys just basically really launched this. It's only a few weeks ago, correct?
Yes, so the official launch here has been like a couple of weeks ago. The MCB token as well, and there's so many things happening that it just makes sense to have a great pace and a great community that's able to follow with that. We have right now a new initiative which is the EUSD. So once you create a position on our AMM, you get a share of the liquidity, right? So the way the AMM works is it has both a ETH and a short position. And that's what you're adding to the AMM in terms of liquidity. But that translates to a share. And a founder just released a post on a forum that's been talked about in the community as well and on Twitter, which is around this new synthetic asset called the EUSD. And it's basically created or minted by tokenizing this short position that you place against the exchange. And so we're already starting to see that, as you say, it's only been a few weeks, but there's so many things that we can create because we have this money Lego in place and it's working and it's reliable. And as we get more liquidity into the AMM, I think we're going to see even more opportunities to innovate and to see more products on top of it.
Maybe for some of the viewers, what are the government proposals that people are already kind of thinking about with this just starting, and what does the community think?
Yes, so there's a lot of conversation around the vesting schedule, right? Like how long people should, or liquidity providers should have before they're able to use or sell their tokens. And it's really the idea of commitment, right? Are we incentivizing there to be, are we incentivizing our liquidity providers to be there for long term and enabling them to, or disabling them to be able to move their token. There's also other proposal around adding liquidity to Uniswap or balancers. And the idea there is that, because we just started, and for now the MCB token is really just an incentive. There is some conversation around whether we should add more liquidity to decentralized exchanges. And it's been a model that I think works for projects in the past. I'm thinking about MCDEX, who's done great in that regard. So this proposal that I think our co-founders have reviewed or our tech team has reviewed, and it makes sense to have a call to make sure that our community members have an opportunity to actually voice or present the proposal and to also voice their concern or questions they have about the direction that we're moving into. So it's happening fast. I'm trying to think about all the other proposals that are there. But yeah, I think it's going to happen either Monday or Tuesday of next week. So we'll have the announcement sometime this week for that.
Sweet. If people want to get involved and kind of learn about this, and where do they find the governance calls and get involved?
Yes, so we're on a lot of channels. I think our head of marketing, Vcash, just opened a trading channel on Telegram, but we're also, we have the main channel Telegram, we're on Discord, where I think on Discord you can have more long-form conversations, right? Like threads that you can kind of start and then resume, start one day, resume another one. But we have a forum where our co-founder has posted a lot of suggestions. For the governance call, it'll be happening on Zoom. We also are about to release an ambassador program to incentivize our users, if they have initiatives or ideas to propose them or to share them and socialize them on our channels. But we're on Twitter as well. We're everywhere. We're trying to be like Chainlink. We're trying to expose ourselves to all the crypto world and be there. And we're very active. Every day our co-founders are there, our engineers are there. So if you have questions on all the channels, we'll be there to answer them.
Exciting. Cool. Yeah, I'll drop those links into this video afterwards and then share them out with the community. And I'm sure a lot of people are interested and want to get involved. So kind of take a step back. You've been in the blockchain engineering space just in general for a long time. Where do you see this space going? Obviously, like liquidity mining is like a big thing right now, but
yeah.
wait, how long is this going to last, and what's the next thing that you see?
I think it's gonna last. I forgot to mention that we have a podcast as well, and our first guest was Kerman Coley of DeFi Weekly newsletter, and we had that conversation as well. And his thinking was that DeFi is actually maturing as a space. So maybe the yield that are double digit or triple digit will come down, but I think behind the incentive, what tends to happen is that people come for the incentives, but they stick around because they understand the value of the project, and that's really important in terms of the value proposition. It's kind of like this. Maybe it was similar in 2017 during the ICO era. It was all about the buzz, and this next project is going to do everything. And once you calm down, you realize that some team are building really amazing technology that today is actually finally like coming out and being very successful. So I think the space is maturing. I think the next step is we have the Legos, the money Legos. They're working. There's maybe a few that are missing, but people are starting to put them together. I think the next story is about liquidity. And again, I definitely think that derivatives are going to play a big
Yep.
part in bringing that.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that answer. So you said earlier, right when we were starting the call, so you're in Colombia in South America.
Yeah.
How is cryptocurrency down in Colombia and South America, and what's kind of the reception like? And are there a lot of developers? What's kind of your stance on everything?
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing the shirt as
I
well.
love it.
Colombia is very different, and the community, I think there's a lot of people engaged in crypto, but different use cases, right? There's a lot of Venezuelan because of the crisis happening there that have migrated to Colombia and working there for the past 2 years or so. And so the main use case is remittance and more so medium of exchange rather than store value. So a lot of people are big fans of Dash. You don't see that many Dash, I guess, outlet in Colombia, but from what I understand, there's a lot in Venezuela. And so for people, it's very easy to use. The second platform that people talk about is Ethereum. So I'd say Dash and Ethereum are probably the two top projects in Latin America. And yeah, the use cases are very different, but the community is very strong. There's a lot of meetups. I mean, obviously with the quarantine, not so much, but before that, yes, there were conferences and the very technical team as well, building very interesting product around finance and services. But I think the question is great because at least maybe not crypto, but in DeFi, sometime there's a little bit of a focus towards Western audiences, right? The content is in English, and most of the teams are based in the West. But when you expand that, then you see completely different use cases. And in the case of MCDEX, the founding team is actually based out of Beijing, and they were first and currently still are Bitcoin miners, but they were able to see a different use case very early on for DeFi, which is like this derivative infrastructure. And I think that's a great play as well, because there's not a lot of, that I know of, a lot of DeFi team based out of China. So quote unquote, bringing DeFi to China could be very interesting in types of use cases that we'll see.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that answer. One little follow up that I see in the chat is with derivatives, and obviously like this is like you're saying is going to be really big within DeFi and really going to help the space grow. How do people kind of hedge risk on the MCDEX platform?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think what DeFi does is it kind of lowers the barrier of entrance to all kinds of financial primitives, including derivatives. So with that come risk, right? And so you definitely have to have a little bit of a learning curve, right? And so what we do there is to provide content, right? I'm actually working on a video to show how to actually become a liquidity provider. But we have medium tutorials on different strategies on how to become a liquidity provider. But also when it comes to trading, if you just focusing on the trading aspect, there's some aspect of it that can be a part of just educating the audiences and our users on how to measure the risk versus rewards. But one thing that we do have right now is we have this rebalancing mechanism where when you provide liquidity to our AMM, what happened at first is your position is actually risk neutral, right?
Mhm.
So your position that is on the AMM cannot be liquidated. But what happened is a long position on the margin. And I could probably take another call just to break down the whole process. But the idea behind that is that as the trading against the AMM changes, your ratio will change. And so we call that imbalance. So if you have too much imbalance, you might not get the full reward of an MCD token. And so to help all liquidity providers, we have this rebalancing button that's there in the AMM section. And what that does is it gives you strategies on how to rebalance your position so you get back to a risk neutral position. So you get your full reward, but also what it gives you the option to either use your balance in your margin or your balance in your wallet as well. And so I think between the tooling on our platform, maybe outside the platform, it could be we're working with integrators as well, a platform that show users their balance, their APY as well, and also just creating content. I think we'll get to a place where people will feel more comfortable using derivative. But yes, risk is going to be there, and it's something that has to be part of a trader strategy to be included.
Great. Yeah. I'll definitely share the links of the Medium posts and YouTube that you're talking about as well. Well, Gary, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today, and I'm really excited with all the growth of MCDEX and everything that you guys are working on. Is there anything else that you want the viewers to know that maybe we left out, or anything else that you want to say?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if it's official yet. It's probably not, but it just happened before we jumped on the call. There might be some really good news for both our communities. So maybe I'll leave it at that, like a cliffhanger. But again, I think it's Chainlink has a great platform. I think there's up to 30 different price feeds. And a big goal for us is to actually extend our platform. Right now, we have the decentralized ETH Perpetual, but as we get feedback from traders about the kind of asset that they want to trade, we will extend our offering. And since we already have a great working solution for price feed, I think it's just natural for our community to expect our offering to extend, and maybe we'll leave it at that, and maybe we'll have an official announcement coming up soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, and thanks everyone else for joining in today. Really excited, very thankful and grateful to have Gary join us. If you want to follow him. It's @DAOchemist on Twitter, and then I'll drop all the links to all their all the links that we spoke about today. And if you have questions, definitely feel free to jump into either one of our Telegram channels, and happy to help answer those questions. Otherwise, thanks again for joining, and it was great speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. Really a pleasure.